Most of what you care about is completely useless. And it's making you miserable. What if I told you there's a way to stop caring about the wrong things and finally find happiness? What if the key to a better life isn't about adding more, but letting go? In the soft hum of coffee machines and the muffled chatter of strangers filled the air. The scent of roasted beans mixed with the faint aroma of vanilla from the pastries on display. A jazz tune played faintly in the background, almost drowned out by the clinking of cups and the occasional bursts of laughter from a nearby table. Jake sat in the farthest corner of the cafe, slouched over his phone. His thumb hovered over the screen, paralyzed, unable to respond to the message that had just shattered his evening. Hey, I don't think this is working out. In this video, we're diving into Mark Manson's life-changing book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. This isn't just another self-help book. It's a wake-up call to stop wasting your energy on things that don't matter. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never see your problems the same way again. To begin, let me tell you stories to help mirror on the subtle art of not giving a fuck, the life-changing truth nobody tells you. His chest tightened. His stomach felt like it had been twisted into a knot. He swallowed hard, but the lump in his throat wouldn't go away. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He blinked at the words again, as if hoping they'd rearrange themselves into something less painful, something less final. His fingers twitched. Maybe he should reply. Maybe he should ask why. Maybe he should say something to fix it. But what was there to fix? The text sat there, unmoving, as if mocking him. Jake exhaled sharply and leaned back in his chair, his grip tightening around the coffee cup. He wasn't thirsty. He just needed to hold on to something, anything. His screen dimmed, but he tapped it awake, instinctively switching to Instagram. Big mistake. The first thing that popped up, a photo of an old high school friend on a yacht, surrounded by models, sunglasses perched on his perfectly symmetrical face. The caption? Work hard, play harder, blessed hustle. Jake scrolled down. Another guy from college, married, smiling, standing in front of a new house, his wife holding a newborn baby. A travel blogger in Santorini. An influencer showing off a $100,000 watch. A fitness coach flexing abs that looked like they'd been chiseled by the gods themselves. And then, a couple. Holding hands, kissing on a beach, golden hour casting the perfect glow over them. Jake's stomach churned. He felt like he was drowning, sinking deeper with every post. Why am I not as successful as them? Why does everyone else seem to have it figured out? What the hell am I even doing with my life? The thoughts hit him like punches, over and over. He set his phone down and stared at the table, jaw clenched. It wasn't just the breakup, it was everything. His job sucked, his apartment was a joke. His bank account was one emergency away from flatlining. He hadn't been to the gym in months. His friends were busy with their real lives. And him? He was stuck, lost, utterly and completely miserable. Jake exhaled sharply, rubbing his face with both hands. Maybe he just cared too much, about everything. What people thought, how his life looked rather than how it felt, what his ex was doing, how he was falling behind, what people would say if they knew how much of a mess he really was. A chair scraped against the floor next to him. Jake barely noticed. He was too busy drowning in his thoughts. Then, a voice cut through his spiral, smooth, grizzled, with a hint of amusement. Kid, you care too much. Jake's head snapped up. Sitting beside him was an older man, probably in his late 50s. Salt and pepper stubble. Leather jacket. A face that looked like it had seen some shit and came out the other side unbothered. He leaned back in his chair, fingers wrapped around a steaming cup of coffee, watching Jake with the kind of relaxed amusement that only comes from someone who truly doesn't give a fuck. Jake blinked. Excuse me? The man smirked. I said, you care too much, and that's exactly why you're miserable. Jake frowned. I don't even know you, dude, the man shrugged. Don't need to. I've seen that face 1,000 times. You look like someone who's carrying the weight of the world. You're drowning in things that don't matter. And for what? Jake hesitated. His gut reaction was to argue, to say this guy didn't know anything about his life. But something about him, his calm, his confidence, his complete detachment, made Jake pause. Because deep down, he knew the guy wasn't wrong. The man took a slow sip of his coffee, as if he had all the time in the world. Let me tell you something that'll set you free, kid. Jake leaned in slightly, despite himself. The man smirked. Happiness isn't about caring more, it's about caring less, about the right things. Jake stared at him. The words hung in the air, something in his brain clicked. The man leaned back, stretching his arms behind his head like he had just dropped a truth bomb, and was waiting for it to detonate. Jake swallowed. So, what? Are you saying I should just stop caring about everything? The man chuckled. No, dumbass, I'm saying you need to stop caring about the wrong things. Jake frowned, but before he could say anything else, the man raised his cup in a mock toast and grinned. And kid, you've been giving way too many fucks about shit that doesn't matter. Jake exhaled sharply. For the first time in what felt like forever, he felt lighter. Like maybe, just maybe, he'd been holding on to something that wasn't his to carry. And maybe, just maybe, he could let it go. Meet Alex. Alex was the kind of person who cared about everything, what people thought of him, how many likes his posts got, whether his boss noticed his hard work. He was constantly stressed, constantly comparing himself to others, and constantly feeling like he wasn't good enough. One day, Alex hit rock bottom. He was sitting in his car after a long day at work, staring at his phone, and he realized something. He was exhausted. Not from work, not from life, but from caring so much about things that didn't matter. That's when he stumbled upon a book that changed everything. It was called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Alex's journey wasn't easy. He had to confront some hard truths about himself, but step by step, he learned to stop caring about the wrong things and start focusing on what truly mattered. And today, he's happier than he's ever been. Mark Manson says that most of us care about the wrong things. We care about what people think of us. We care about being perfect. We care about things we can't control. And it's making us miserable. Think about it. How much time do you spend worrying about things that don't really matter? Your ex's opinion, that rude comment online. Whether your boss likes you. It's exhausting, right? And here's the kicker. None of it actually matters. The alarm buzzed. Jake groaned. Not again. His hand shot out from under the blanket, blindly slapping at his phone until the beeping stopped. He lay there for a moment, staring at the ceiling, already feeling the weight of the day pressing down on him. Even before his feet touched the floor, his mind was running a marathon. Did I send that email yesterday? I have that stupid meeting at work today. I need to hit the gym. I haven't been in weeks. Wait, did she text back? His heart skipped a beat. He grabbed his phone and swiped it open. Nothing. A pit formed in his stomach, but instead of dealing with it, he did what he always did. He went straight to Instagram. Big mistake. His feed was a highlight reel of people doing better than him. An old classmate posting about their promotion. A fitness influencer flexing in the mirror. A guy he barely knew posing with his brand new BMW. Jake exhaled sharply, scrolling faster. Why am I not there yet? Why does everyone else seem to have their life together? Am I falling behind? The thoughts hit him in waves, one after another, like a relentless tide. It was the same every morning. Wake up, check phone. Feel like a failure. Start the day, rinse, repeat. By the time he was out of bed and brushing his teeth, the spiral had fully set in. He stared at his reflection. His eyes were tired, shoulders slumped, jaw clenched. What if I never get my dream job? The thought came out of nowhere, like an uninvited guest barging in. What if I'm never good enough? Another one. What if they think I'm a failure? Jake shut his eyes, gripping the sink. It was exhausting. His brain was like a never-ending newsfeed, constantly pushing negative thoughts into his mind like clickbait headlines. And the worst part? He believed every single one of them. Later that day, he found himself sitting in the same coffee shop, the same corner seat, staring at the same cup of coffee he barely drank. The older man was back. Leather jacket, stubble. That same relaxed smirk, as if life itself was just one big inside joke that only he understood. The man glanced at Jake's hunched-over posture, the way he was staring blankly at his phone. Then he chuckled. Kid, you look like you've just seen your own obituary. Jake exhaled. It's just been a long day. The man leaned back, stretching his arms behind his head. The man leaned forward. Let me guess, you check your phone first thing in the morning? Jake nodded reluctantly. And let me guess again, you feel like crap right after? Jake let out a half laugh. Every time. The man smirked. Congratulations, you're addicted to approval, and that, my friend, is the fastest way to a miserable life. Jake rubbed the back of his neck. So how do I stop? The man shrugged. You stop chasing things that don't matter. Jake let out a skeptical laugh. Yeah, okay, easier said than done. The man raised an eyebrow. Not really, you've just been programmed to think you need everyone's approval to be happy. But let me ask you something. Do you even remember the last post you saw on Instagram? Jake opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. He didn't. Not a single one. And yet he had spent the entire morning feeling like a failure because of them. Something clicked. The man leaned back, smirking. See? Useless thoughts, kid. You don't need them. They don't serve you. So why the hell are you carrying them around? Jake exhaled sharply. He didn't have an answer. For the first time, he questioned his own thoughts. The man finished his coffee and stood up. Look, kid, you're never going to be completely stress-free, but the trick is to stop stressing over the dumb shit. Start asking yourself, does this actually matter? If the answer's no, he patted Jake's shoulder. Let it go. Then, with that same relaxed smirk, he walked out. Jake sat there for a long moment, staring at his coffee. Then slowly he pulled out his phone. He opened Instagram, scrolled for a second. Then, for the first time ever, he closed the app without a second thought. And damn, it felt good. When you stop giving a fuck about the wrong things, everything changes. You stop worrying about what people think. You stop chasing perfection. You start living for yourself. And life becomes richer, fuller, and more meaningful. And the best part? You realize that you've always had the power to be happy. The power to be free. The power to live fully. All you had to do was stop giving a fuck. If you're ready to stop caring about the wrong things and finally find happiness, this is your moment. Start by reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a game changer. And if you want more life-changing insights like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because every week, we break down the books and ideas that can transform your life. The park was alive. Kids ran across the grass, screaming with joy. Joggers moved in steady rhythms along the pathway. A couple sat on a bench, sharing a quiet conversation. Jake, on the other hand, felt like his brain was still in overdrive. He had been thinking non-stop since the coffee shop. The man's words had cracked something open inside him, but instead of feeling enlightened, he felt confused. If most of his thoughts were garbage, if most of his worries were pointless, then what actually mattered? What was he supposed to care about? He exhaled, rubbing his temples. The man, sitting next to him, was the complete opposite. He looked effortlessly at peace. Legs stretched out, arms folded behind his head, eyes half closed like he could fall asleep right there on the park bench. Jake glanced at him and scoffed. You ever get stressed? The man smirked. Nope. Jake rolled his eyes. Bullshit, the man laughed. Okay, fine. I used to, then I stopped giving a fuck about stupid shit. Jake frowned. How? You just woke up one day and decided to not care? The man stretched his arms. Nah, I just started caring about the right things. Jake waited for him to explain, but the man seemed in no rush. He took his time, watching a squirrel dart across the grass. Finally, he said, most people think happiness is about having more. More money, more success, more approval, more followers, more shti to flex on social media. He turned to Jake, raising an eyebrow. And where has that gotten you? Jake looked away. His mind went back to his morning routine. The endless comparisons, the constant anxiety, the feeling that no matter what he did, it was never enough. He sighed. Yeah, not great. The man nodded, almost like he expected that answer. See, that's the problem. People think the secret to happiness is adding more. But that's not how it works. Happiness isn't about more, it's about less. Jake frowned. Less? The man smirked. Less stress, less fear, less giving a fuck about dumb shit. Jake leaned in. For the next few minutes they sat in silence. Jake watched as the world moved around him. He saw a man in a suit, practically running while yelling into his phone. A teenager posing for a dozen selfies, checking every angle. A woman flipping through emails, frowning at her screen. And then he saw an old man sitting on a bench, feeding pigeons. No phone, no rush, no stress, just tossing crumbs and watching the birds. Jake watched him for a long moment. He didn't look rich, didn't look famous, but he looked happy. Jake's chest tightened. So, how do you figure out what actually matters? The man took a deep breath, as if he'd been waiting for this question. Then he pulled out a napkin from his pocket, grabbed a pen, and handed them to Jake. Write down 3 things that actually matter to you. Jake hesitated. Just 3? The man nodded. Everything else? Stop giving a fuck. Jake sighed and stared at the blank napkin. What actually mattered? He started writing. My health, because what's the point of success if I feel like shot every day? The people who actually care about me, not fake friends, not followers, just the real ones. Doing work I actually enjoy, not just chasing money, but something meaningful. He stared at the list for a long time. Something about it felt freeing. Because if these were the only things that mattered, then why was he spending 90% of his time worrying about everything else? Why was he stressing over likes, over people who didn't care about him, over trying to impress strangers? The man leaned over and glanced at the napkin. Then he nodded. Looks solid. Jake swallowed. So I just ignore everything else? The man grinned. Pretty much. Jake exhaled. For the first time, he felt lighter. As they sat there, a guy in his 20s walked past, dressed head to toe in designer clothes. He was talking loudly on the phone. Bro, I don't give a fuck, man. I'm making moves. I'm grinding 24/7. No sleep, just money. Jake smirked and turned to the man. That guy doesn't give a fuck either, huh? The man laughed. Oh, he gives plenty of fucks, just about all the wrong things. Jake frowned. Wait, so not giving a fuck doesn't mean not caring at all? The man shook his head. Nah, kid, that's where people get it wrong. It's not about being careless, it's about being selective. Jake nodded slowly. That actually made sense. So, what do you give a fuck about? The man thought for a second, then he smirked. Peace of mind. Jake blinked. That's it? The man shrugged. Yup, I used to chase money, approval, all that shit, but none of it ever gave me peace. Now, I just do what makes me feel good inside. Everything else, not my problem. Jake looked back at his napkin list. So if something isn't on this list, I just let it go? The man patted his shoulder. Now you're getting it, kid. Jake took a deep breath. For the first time in a long time, he felt in control. Here's the best part. Stopping giving a fuck isn't just a philosophy, it's a practice. And Manson gives us simple tools to get started. First, accept that life is hard. Once you stop expecting it to be easy, you stop being disappointed. Second, take responsibility for your life. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And third, choose your values. What truly matters to you. Focus on that and let the rest go. The office was a battlefield. Phones ringing, emails piling up, a printer beeping relentlessly. Jake sat at his desk typing furiously, trying to meet an impossible deadline. His shoulders were tense, his jaw clenched. He glanced at the clock, 11:47 a.m. His boss walked past, stopped, and hovered over his shoulder. Jake could already feel the criticism coming. Jake, what is this? Jake braced himself. This report? It's all wrong. I asked for a breakdown by region, not just a summary. You need to pay more attention to details. Normally, this would be the part where Jake's stomach twisted into knots, where he'd spend the next 6 hours replaying this moment in his head, feeling like a failure. But today was different. Today, he remembered the man's words. Does this actually matter? Jake glanced at the report. Yeah, he made a mistake. But was it the end of the world? No. Would this matter in 5 years? Definitely not. Was he about to waste his entire day stressing over it? Fuck no. Jake smirked. Got it, boss. I'll fix it. He turned back to his screen, fingers flying across the keyboard. His boss hesitated, waiting for the usual look of defeat. But Jake didn't give him that satisfaction. Instead, he just kept typing. Cool. Unbothered. His boss blinked, nodded, and walked away. Jake leaned back in his chair, stretching. That was way easier than he thought. For the first time, he felt in control of his own emotions. The rest of the day, he tested his new mindset. A coworker sent him an unnecessarily passive-aggressive email? Fuck it. He wasn't wasting energy on that. Traffic on the way home? Fuck it. Nothing he could do about it. His phone buzzed with a notification. His ex posted a picture looking amazing. Normally, this would trigger a spiral of self-doubt. Today, he scrolled right past it. He was done giving a fuck about things that didn't deserve his energy. Later that evening, Jake met up with a few friends for drinks. As they sat at the bar, his friend Mark slammed his beer down, fuming. Dude, my manager is such a dick. He completely ignored my idea in the meeting today. I swear, no matter what I do, I never get recognized. Jake sipped his drink. So, who cares? Mark frowned. Dude, I care. Jake smirked. Why though? Is this gonna matter in 5 years? Mark opened his mouth to argue, then hesitated. I mean, probably not, but... Exactly. Jake leaned back. Look, man, I used to stress over every little thing. Someone criticized me, ruined my day, some random person didn't text me back, I'd obsess over it. But then I realized, half the shit I care about doesn't even fucking matter. Mark was quiet for a moment. Huh, Jake shrugged. Dude, just say fuck it, it's life-changing. The next morning, Jake's alarm went off. He rolled out of bed, stretched, and grabbed his phone. His inbox was already full of emails. Normally, this would make his heart race. Today, he smirked. One thing at a time. He wasn't about to let some pixels on a screen ruin his peace. On his way to work, he stopped at a coffee shop. The barista got his order wrong. Before, he might have let that irritation linger. Today? Fuck it, he smiled, took the coffee, and went on with his day. At work, his boss called for a last-minute meeting. Jake, we're behind schedule. I need you to stay late tonight. Before, this would have sent Jake into a mental breakdown. Now? Sorry, I have plans. His boss blinked. What? I have plans, Jake repeated. And for the first time ever, he didn't feel guilty about setting a boundary. His boss sighed, but didn't push further. Jake sat back in his chair, satisfied. Saying fuck it didn't mean being reckless. It meant protecting his time, energy, and peace. And it was working. That evening, Jake sat in his apartment, scrolling through his phone. Another guy he went to high school with just bought a house. A girl from college was traveling through Europe. For years, these posts made him feel like he was falling behind. But now, he just stared at them for a second, then put his phone down. Good for them. Has nothing to do with me. He exhaled, closing his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt light. This was what freedom felt like. So, how do you stop caring about the wrong things? Manson's answer is simple but profound. Choose what to care about. Not everything deserves your energy. Focus on what truly matters to you and let the rest go. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with rocks. Every useless worry, every unnecessary opinion, every unrealistic expectation is a rock. Now imagine dropping that backpack. That's what choosing what to care about feels like. It's freedom, it's peace, it's happiness. The music pulsed through the room. Jake stepped into the party, the familiar swirl of voices and laughter surrounding him. A few months ago, this would have been a nightmare. His brain would have been in overdrive. Am I dressed okay? Should I say hi to those people or will it be weird? Do I even belong here? But tonight he just was. Relaxed, unbothered, confident. No overthinking, no fake smiles, no pretending to be someone he wasn't, just Jake. He grabbed a drink, scanned the crowd, and smiled to himself. Holy shit, I think I finally get it. A few minutes in, an old friend, Dan, walked up to him. Dude, you look different. What's up with you? Jake laughed. I just stopped giving a fuck. Dan raised an eyebrow. What does that even mean? Jake took a sip of his drink. It means I finally realized that half the stuff I used to stress about doesn't matter.
I used to come to these parties and be in my head the whole time, worried about what people thought of me, if I was saying the right thing, if I looked cool enough. He shook his head. And for what? None of that shit ever made me happy. I was too busy caring about everyone else's opinion to actually enjoy myself. Dan smirked. So what changed? Jake grinned. I just decided to care less. As the night went on, Jake noticed things he never would have before. He saw a guy in the corner, nervously glancing at his phone every few seconds. That used to be him, overanalyzing, waiting for a text that would never come, obsessing over things outside his control. Now, he was too busy living. He walked over to a group of people laughing loudly, telling ridiculous stories. A few months ago, he would have hesitated. What if they don't want me here? What if I say something dumb? Tonight, he walked straight up, jumped into the conversation, and cracked a joke. They laughed. Just like that, he was in. Effortless. Because here's the thing, most people are too busy worrying about themselves to be judging you, and once you realize that, you're free. Later that night, a girl he used to have a massive crush on walked by. Before, he would have been a nervous wreck, running through every possible conversation in his head. Tonight? Fuck it. Hey, Long time no see, he said, flashing a confident smile. She turned, surprised. Jake? Wow, you seem different. Yeah, he said, sipping his drink. Guess I finally stopped trying so hard. And just like that, they were talking, naturally, no pressure, no overthinking. Turns out, not caring was the most attractive thing he'd ever done. At one point, Jake ran into an old high school friend, Kevin. Kevin was ranting about how he had to take a job he hated because his parents expected it. Man, I don't even like this career, but gotta keep them happy. Jake raised an eyebrow. Dude, why? Kevin blinked.
What do you mean, why? They're my parents. Yeah, and it's your life, not theirs. You're the one who has to wake up every day and do that job, not them. So why are you making decisions based on what they want? Kevin hesitated. Jake shrugged. Look, man, I used to be the same way, doing things just because I didn't want to disappoint people, saying yes when I wanted to say no. But you know what I realized? The people who really care about you will be happy as long as you're happy. Kevin frowned. But what if they get mad? Jake smirked. Then they get mad, and they get over it. Life moves on, but at least you'll be living your life, not theirs. Kevin was quiet for a moment. Then he sighed, nodding slowly. Damn, I think you just changed my life. Jake laughed. Welcome to the club, man. As the party wound down, Jake stepped outside for some air. The night was cool, the streetlights flickering, and that's when he saw him. The man, sitting on a bench, sipping a drink, watching the world go by. Jake walked over, sitting next to him. The man smirked. So kid, you finally get it? Jake chuckled. Yeah, took me a while, but I think I do. The man nodded approvingly. Good, then my work here is done. Jake turned to ask him something, but when he looked back, the man was gone. Jake exhaled, shaking his head, smiling to himself. This whole time, he had been chasing happiness, trying to impress people, trying to be enough. When all along, the answer was simple. Stop trying so hard, stop caring about the wrong things, and just live. And for the first time in his life, he finally was. The city lights flickered as Jake walked down the quiet street. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't overthinking. He wasn't replaying conversations in his head. He wasn't worried about who liked him, who didn't, or if he was enough. He just was. The wind brushed against his face, the distant hum of traffic filled the air. The world moved on whether he worried about it or not, and that's when it hit him. The freedom he had been searching for wasn't about more success, more approval, more validation. It was about less stress, less fear, less caring about shit that didn't matter. He stopped walking, taking a deep breath, staring up at the dark sky. A smile tugged at his lips. I wasted so much time caring about the wrong things. But not anymore. Not now. Not ever again. Across the street, a group of guys were laughing, taking pictures, trying to get the perfect shot for Instagram. Jake used to be like that, chasing the perfect moment instead of living it. Now, he just let life happen. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. No one was watching. No one cared. And that was the most freeing thing in the world. As he passed by a cafe, he caught his reflection in the window. The guy staring back at him looked different. Not in the way he dressed, not in the way he walked, it was the way he carried himself. Lighter, calmer, more real. Because when you stop trying to impress the world stops controlling you. And for the first time, Jake finally felt in control. He made his way to a small park and sat on a bench, watching life move around him. A woman rushed past, balancing a coffee, a phone call, and a stack of papers. A guy nervously checked his phone, pacing in circles, probably overanalyzing a text. A teenager scrolled endlessly through social media, eyes glazed over. Jake just sat there taking it all in. Because that's the thing, most people aren't living. They're reacting to notifications, to expectations, to a never-ending loop of anxiety and comparison. And the worst part, they don't even realize it. A small laugh escaped Jake's lips. If only they knew. If only they knew how much easier life gets when you stop giving a fuck about the wrong things. The pressure, the stress, the expectations, it's all self-inflicted. It's all a choice. And the moment you stop letting those things control you, you're free. The sky had turned deep orange now, the sun dipping below the horizon. Jake stood up, stretching, feeling lighter than ever. For years he had been chasing happiness, trying to be someone, trying to win life, but now he finally understood. You don't win life, you just live it. And the less you care about the meaningless shut, the more you actually enjoy it. He exhaled, shaking his head with a grin. Damn. Wish I had learned this sooner. But at least he had learned it now. And that was enough. As Jake walked away, the world around him kept moving. People still stressed over things that wouldn't matter in a week. Still chasing approval. Still overthinking. But Jake? He was done with all that. Your mind is a time machine. But life is happening now. The only question is, are you here to live it? If this video changed your perspective, hit that subscribe button now. Because when you master your mindset, you master your life. What's next? Censored. Arrested. Richer than ever. How did Andrew Tate master power and influence in the digital age? Watch our deep dive on the 48 laws of power, wealth building, and influence tactics.